they listen. The next thing is pick the right opportunity at the right time. And so many people have issues with this. And I feel like YouTube and social media is a very terrible place for this as well. Because one thing I see a lot is people say, don't do what someone says, do what they do, or something along those lines. Do you realize how stupid that is? Because here's the thing. If let's say someone has been in an industry for 10 years and they're telling you, hey, if I was starting out, I would do this. Are you gonna be stupid enough to think that you, starting from square one, can do what someone else is doing after 10 years in the industry? No, don't be silly. Everything in life is about doing things in the right order. It's not always about doing the right thing. It's about doing it in the right order. So just understand the things you do today are nowhere near as impressive as what you can do in 3 years, 10 years, 30 years. In 30 years, if you do business right and if you have a good career, you should be able to make a phone call and that same evening have $5 million in your bank account just simply based off of goodwill and your reputation. You can't do that now. In 30 years, you should probably be able to sell $100,000, $1 million, $5 million worth of a product or a service before you even create it, just because you have so many loyal customers over the years that understand whatever you put out is quality, so I want it even if it's not available yet. You can't do that right now. There's businesses in 30 years that will cost you $4 million to start. And in the first year, they're gonna break even. But within 5 years of running the company, it'll be a $40 million a year company. But just remember, you needed that $4 million to start in the first place. So you don't have that. So don't look at what someone else is doing. Let's say you're a real estate agent. Don't look at what a real estate agent is doing in their 15th year as being a real estate agent. No, look at what they did when they first started. So pick the right opportunity at the right time, at what I call the correct point when it comes to your career timing. The next thing is discipline over motivation. Listen, if you're gonna become successful, most of the time you're not gonna be motivated to do it. Motivation is kind of like runner's high when you're running. When you're running a marathon, you're only gonna get runner's high for some of it. For a very small portion, you're gonna get that feeling where you're running on clouds and you've got this intrinsic energy and all this stuff. That's a very small portion. When you lose that feeling of runner's high, what, should you just give up on the marathon? No, you just need to have discipline, you need to lock in, and you need to do it whether you feel like it or not. And that's the way having a successful career is. Motivation is great. Sometimes you're gonna get it, but it's fleeting. You need to rely on discipline instead. Now, next success secret of what I've observed and witnessed from my wealthiest of friends is they bought A1 assets as early as they could in their career and they held on to them. A lot of these people have property in London, New York, Paris, LA, you name it. And they've had these properties for 10, 20 years and they've held on to them. And it's not just properties, I'm talking license plates. I'm talking hotels, and I understand it's gonna take a bit of money to buy these things. So of course you gotta focus on having a good career first, but once you have a good career, buy these A1 assets, which aren't the most exciting investments. You know, you're not gonna make the craziest returns, but you're never gonna lose money. And it's stuff that you can have throughout generations. And I know it's not important right now, but later down the line, and this is one of the next points that I will talk about. So in 20 years, when you wanna buy something, let's say you wanna buy a jet, you're not gonna be spending $20 million on a jet. No, you're gonna put $4 million down and the other $16 million the bank is gonna give you. And when you have incredible A1 assets in your portfolio, stuff that isn't the highest returns, but there's basically zero risk, the banks will have absolutely zero issue giving you money. The next success secret is that if you sleep on a win, you're gonna wake up with a loss. And what I mean by that is just because you won does not make you a winner. Winning is a continuous process. I see a lot of people in their teens and their early 20s, and I'd say this is probably the biggest reason I'm in the position that I am is because I made my first $1 million cash at 18. But a lot of people in that situation, they buy their Lambo or lease it or whatever, they get a nice apartment, and then they're king of the castle. They're a winner. And they had their win and they're happy with that. Or they go to bed with a win, they hibernate with a win, and then they wake up a few months later with a loss. You need to understand that it is so much harder to keep it and multiply it than it is to get it. Getting it is one thing. So of course, celebrate your wins. Celebrate the times when you said you were gonna do something and you stuck to your word. But just understand that if you stay in that place, if you keep revisiting the past, then the future is not gonna look very pretty for you. Now, the next success secret, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, is build good relationships with the banks from early on. And the reason I say build good relationships with the banks early on is for a couple reasons. Number one, as much as I hate banks, at some point you will need them if you do want to creatively finance some of your assets, whether you want to creatively finance business acquisition, you want to buy equity in a new business, you want to start a new business, you name it. banks are very useful. And the other thing is, when it comes to making a lot of money, I know some of you guys are literally sitting at home in your mom's basement and you're going, why do I need to think about or start worrying about, me making so much money that I need good banks on my side that aren't going to give me troubles? Yeah, listen, maybe this month you're not going to make good money. Maybe next year you're not going to make good money. Maybe you're not going to make good money for 10 years, but there will get to a point, if you keep working, that you make enough money that it raises normal banks' eyebrows, just normal banking eyebrows. And that's where premium banking is a step above. And then eventually you start getting into some of the private banks. And then it's a matter of where do you have your private banking and stuff like that. But the point is, from the age of 14, I started reading finance books. I started to understand how the world of banking and finance works. And I didn't need that yet, but at least I was aware and I knew that, hey, once I have a lot of money, I need to be able to have good banking on my side. And by the way, all of my assets, I don't have financing. I don't have a mortgage on any of my properties. I don't owe any bank any money. But it's good to know that if I need $10 million by next week, I have it there if I need it. It's good to know that when I need to send a wire for a few $1,000,000, they don't give me headaches. Because if you're dealing with normal banking, good luck, they're gonna think you're a criminal. Even if you've been in the cleanest businesses and you have years and years of track record, it's normal banking. They want to make your life as difficult as humanly possible. So at least if you can just start thinking about these things from a young age, you don't need to apply it, but I just want to prepare you for it in the same way I prepared for it 10 years ago, well before I even made my money. The next success secret is keep your circle small. Listen, you can have a lot of acquaintances, you can have a lot of business associates, a lot of people can know who you are, but in terms of your actual circle, the people that you will tell things to, the people that you will confide in, you have to keep that circle small, because there's only a few select amount of people that can keep up with your pace. With the pace that you're moving forward and you're evolving in life, there's only a few select amount of people that can keep up with it. And the other thing is, loose lips sink ships. The more that you tell people things, the more loose ends that you're creating, and the more chances for that to come back and bite you. Listen, it doesn't matter what you've done in life, whether you've lived the holiest of holy life or the most sinful of life. People shouldn't know your private business. Your private business should remain private to you. And when you keep your circle small, you know that it's safe. Whereas, if you want to be the person who's buddy with everyone, and as I said, be polite, be friendly, hey, network, do whatever you want to do. But I'm talking, don't be the person that meets someone and in the first or second dinner, you're telling them your deepest, darkest secrets and all this stuff. Because my rule with things is I will never tell someone outside of my inner circle, my trusted confidants, I will never tell someone something that I wouldn't want other people to know. So if I tell someone something, I know full well, unless they're in that little small inner circle that I have, that they're gonna tell other people. And even if they don't tell other people, at least I mentally prepare myself for it. And that gives me a good filter of what do I tell people and what do I not. So just remember, keep your circle small and keep your circle solid. The next success secret of the top 1% is radical responsibility. Your marriage failed, your fault. Your business failed, your fault. You got a knee injury that meant you couldn't play tennis for 6 months, your fault. Whatever it is, it's your fault. Because that is the only way to properly look at your life and analyze what are the inputs that could have led to this final outcome.